From the producers of Avatar, another live-action bender, and the distributors of softcore comes the 4-part British crime drama miniseries Adolescence. Originally known as the film Boyhood here in the States, but the British had to come along and colonize that too, just like when they stole The Office. At least with this, they tried making it their own with a new gimmick. It took 16 shots to make! British Boyhood is the story of some little wanka stibbity-stabbing a schoolgirl with an unlicensed knife, and the whole fallout of that. The co-creators, Jack Thorne and Stephen Graham, have gone on the record saying they were inspired by the murderers of Elian Andom and Ava White. Tell me if you can spot the difference.
They're the same picture.
There is no difference. They're the same picture. Racist. To be fair, I did a little more digging on the Ava White murderer, and it seems like for once, Netflix casting might not have swapped them there, unless he's one of those quote-unquote Asians. Can't quite tell. What I can tell you is that the casting director sure wishes he were Asian.
And I just felt as I was moving through the industry, I didn't see many people like me. And I still don't see. In order to sort of believe you can go into something, you kind of need to see yourself reflected.
You heard her, lads. Time to get on in there.
I'm regional. I'm from Birmingham.
And I'm white. Speaking of Asians, a bit of trivia for you. Did you know Elliot Rodger was actually British? Born in London, raised in Sussex. To no one's surprise, Britainland is apparently the breeding ground for incels.
Planet of the incels.
Especially those Asians. Ever heard about those tutoring gangs they've got over there? Wild stuff. Now, I say the word inspired for Adolescence, you know, a fictionalization of events, but according to the country's prime minister, it's more of a documentary.
At home, we are watching Adolescence with our children. I've got a 16-year-old boy and a 14-year-old girl, and it's a very, very good documentary. This violence carried out by young men, influenced by what they see online, is a real problem. It's abhorrent.
Who's doing the knifing, Mr. Starmer?
Well, who's doing the raping? Who's doing the raping? I mean,
It's abhorrent.
Oh my god.
And after watching this documentary, I must say, I'm rather frightened. These stab-happy Brits, they could be anywhere. And you, my precious viewers, you might not be equipped with the physiognomic knowledge to identify one of these angry Anglos before it's too late and you're bleeding out on the asphalt. That's why today I'm going to give you my cheat sheet to help you identify a Brit by sight alone. You ready? All right, write this down so you remember. Step 1, look up fetal alcohol syndrome. Step 2, that's it. They're all FSAD babies. Did you know the UK has the 4th highest level of prenatal alcohol use in the whole world, with up to 79% of British women just slamming them back during the pregnancy? And of all those lush lasses, about a third of them are drinking at Big Ben binge levels. These are some of the most ethanol-soaked fuckers in the world. And don't even get me started on the coke residue in their water supply. On that note, let me walk you through the start of the show now.
police! Get down on the floor! What's going on?
Oh shit, someone in that house must have done something serious. Like a tweet. Now, if you haven't already guessed it, this show is meant to take on important social issues like fragile masculinity and inceldom and whatever. But if you were to ask me what the hell I was looking at in these first few minutes, I think this was meant to illustrate the horrors of the nanny police state. Because Jesus Christ. You want a picture of the future? Imagine overweight squawking ladies commanding servile men to kick your door in. Forever. You might have noticed something special about this footage, like why all the camera angles look terrible. All this, it's one continuous take, baby. We've got a oneer. All 4 episodes. Everything is one Steadicam following formula. Impressive, isn't it? Unless you're me. This is likely going to be the hottest take I give in this video. But here goes. The cinematography here. The camera work, for the most part, it's distracting and not that good. Oh boy, the red coaster comic. Okay, this all in one take. Look at what they did. Wow, meme needs to die already. Something being harder to do doesn't make it better to do. Something being more elaborate doesn't make it more refined. Understand me, oneers can be very cool used sparingly and or appropriately, like some of the masterful long takes in Children of Men. Or there's one at the beginning of Godzilla -1 that I thought was really well done. And there can be fun had in experimenting with a style and narrative that ties into the gimmick, like Hardcore Henry. It's when you try to force it through the entire runtime of a project by injecting it into every single scene, even if it does extremely little to benefit said scenes, then it begins to look just as forced as it is. And I thought the Death Note chase sequence looked bad. I can appreciate the amount of effort and coordination and talent it must have taken to pull all this off, and at the same time, not appreciate looking at a shite ton of motion blur in a medium where I can't fucking toggle that screen rubbish off. Here's looking at you, 1917, but not really, because I'll get motion sick. Just cut this. This does not look good. It does not have a good reason, and it's smeared all over 3 of the 4 episodes. You don't get it, ER. It immerses you so much into the story by making it seem like you're there. Does it though? Not exactly sucking me into the moment to be following the back of some woman's head with her little bobbing ponytail for half a goddamn minute, nor does it suck me in when I have to watch them bob from what the fuck? Seriously though, how is this actually immersive or expressive or revelatory or anything other than a rigid commitment to a gimmick for no other reason than the act itself being impressive? Well, I suspect a fair few people will disagree with me on this, and that's fine. Y'all just have a stronger stomach for this shit than I do. Quite literally. But before you dismiss me outright, first you must watch the latter half of Skibbity Toilet episode 68. Then tell me with a straight face this show on Netflix does it better. Maybe I'm not even joking. I mean, how can you be sure? So this is Jamie, our baby-faced killer. He's taken very slowly to the police station to be processed, and you watch him be processed. Then we see the CCTV footage of him stabbing his victim, a schoolmate, Katie, and that's about it for the first episode. No, sorry, not about it. That is it for the first episode. I've nothing else to summarize for you that carries over into the next. What I've just said is the entirety of the first hour of this show. We're made to process the process of processing a 13-year-old murderer. It's really easy to say, oh, this sounds like it was written by AI, but that's basically almost always wrong now. The current benchmarks for AI creative writing are easily better than most things I read from real people nowadays. But regardless, this first episode 100% does sound like it could have been output by Gemini Flash in about 3 seconds. There are moments of humanity that shine through, like the dad begging the public defender to tell him what to do in this situation. So much of the rest of the episode is the audience being dragged through the system, the kind of checklisting stuff that ChatGPT excels at, with only glimmers of creative flair.
You know how many times she was stabbed, Jamie?
No. 7 times.
Rookie numbers. Multiply that by 4 and you get
28 stab wounds.
Next episode.
Can you tell us about her?
You only got a kid in the school.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's off if you didn't know.
The fuck? This girl was Katie's best friend, and her only purpose in this narrative is to spout random bullshit.
He didn't get your cheekbones, did he?
I don't see what that has to do.
Can you tell me about him?
Completely random bullshit. Yet another scene you could easily remove and you'd never have a clue was missing, aside from the edit needed to cut it.
Everyone knows it. I don't know why I'm talking. When you guys should reach to sorry another guy that killed her.
Look.
Can I go now, lower school?
Bit of politeness.
Well, I really feeling polite today. Can I go now, Miss Lower School?
With friends like these, who needs friends? Damn. Dread Case decides she suddenly thinks someone other than Jamie killed her friend and takes matters into her own fists.
Oi! Ryan! What have you done?
Fucking girl, get it!
Just got banged by a girl, you sausage.
Banged by a girl?
Just got banged by a girl.
These people should have never been allowed to speak our God-given language.
It's crazy, you know, what your brain tells you to do when you're a kid, right?
Yeah, you were popular in school, though.
I mean, would you like to have your guardian here or a solicitor, right?
No, thank you. Were you, like, really popular? I got all my teeth. I don't know why they matter so much, but they do.
Okay, so just a recap of what you just witnessed. This kid, Ryan, his friend's just been arrested for murder. Ryan knows this. This guy right here, he's looking for the murder weapon that Ryan supplied their murderer. Ryan also knows this. So Ryan's response is to ask him if he was a ladies' man and questioning why teeth matter.
I don't know why they matter so much, but they do.
Not in Britain, they don't. Then Son takes Officer Dad aside and explains to him, I shit you not, what red pilling is.
You've been looking at Insta, right? You've seen what she wrote. Pills, the blue pills means you see the world as it wants you to.
That's from the Matrix. You've been watching the Matrix.
Red pills, like, I see the truth. It's a call to action by the manosphere.
No 13-year-old boy at any point in history has ever uttered the phrase, call to action.
Which is where the 100 comes in. The 80 to 20 rule.
Wait, I thought red pilling was about the 1361 rule.
80% of women are attracted to 20% of men. Women. You must trick them because you'll never get them in a normal way. 80% of women are cut off or she's saying he's an incel.
He's 13.
13 and he hasn't been banged by a single woman yet. What a loser.
He texts hearts, right? What color?
Red.
Means love. Purple, horny. Yellow, I'm interested. Are you interested? Pink, I'm interested, but not in sex. Orange, you're gonna be fine. It all has a meaning, Dad. Everything has a meaning.
Huh? Is that what the different colored heart emojis mean? That's why they give vets Purple Hearts? We really did defeat the wrong enemy, didn't we, Patton? Well, despite just being told there's an emoji-coded language he doesn't know about, Officer Dad doesn't actually ask for any more help decoding the messages, doesn't ask why his son's such a big fan of the Matrix, doesn't even ask what the manosphere is, just lets this kid go. And I get it, scenes like those would have been the epitome of cringe, but if you're not gonna go all the way, don't blue heart me like this.
Katie was bullying Jamie.
Oh, no.
That's what it was. Incel stuff, you know what that is.
No, I don't know what that is. What is it?
Involuntary celibate stuff. It's the Andrew Tate shite.
And there it is, Mr. Matrix himself. Physiognomy check. Oh yeah, 100%. That's a Briton through and through.
Do you know what I don't like about all this? The perpetrator always gets the front line. A man raped a woman.
Lady, who works in the field of criminal investigation, is peeved that crime makes the headlines. Gee, I wonder the fuck why. But to be fair to her, in almost all of these highly publicized murder cases, this isn't even true. It is the victims' names we remember, and not the perpetrator. The proof is that so few actually remember the names of the North Africans and Arabs who actually commit these crimes, that you can make a Netflix show pretending it's native kids doing them instead. And when you're called out on it, just say, oh, but it's not really about that, despite your show focusing entirely on this specific type of crime being committed. Oh, it's not really about you being Jewish, Mr. Thorne. You're just misinterpreting them.
We followed Jamie's brain around this entire case. Katie isn't important, Jamie is.
Yeah, because Jamie's committed the crime. He's the one you need to pick the mind of to figure out why he did what he did. This is just basic empathy. Are you kidding me, people? Is the writer autistic or something? Oh.
We've got the video. We know what you did. You're not gonna know why, mate. Look at all the things we've seen, you are not gonna know why.
You were just told where to find the why. It hasn't even been 2 minutes.
Incel stuff.
Officer Dad and Mish, go to question Ryan again. But little fella has a 200 IQ moment and jumps out the window. The ensuing pursuit was one of the 3 times I laughed watching this. Because, once again, thanks to the one-take gimmick, the characters have to run as fast as toddlers for the camera to both keep up and not shake so much that the motion blur ruins everything. Well, more than it already is.
What does the word incel mean to you? What? Incel.
I think there are a couple better questions to ask your runaway. Like, I don't know. Why were you running?
Why are you running? Why are you?
If I were trying to sell somebody this show, I would definitely pitch it as, hey, there's this epic chase sequence where a cop runs down a kid, catches him, and starts yelling,
what does the word incel mean to you?
What? This show is a comedy goldmine of quotes. That's right up there with,
They leveled up.
They put, oh my god. Yeah, that's the clip. They leveled up.
Where's my knife? I just want things that really work.
Bruh, you went to all that trouble skedaddling just to admit to everything anyway? Well, you got what you fucking deserved there, Ryan.
I haven't run like that in years.
Is that why you run like an obese man? Twice again, because of our wonder gimmick, we're made to sit through an entire minute and a half of Officer Dad walking stressfully to his car, getting into his car, sitting in his car, until finally, something happens. Only it's really just another nothing burger, or nothing chippy?
I'm gonna go and get some chips and a can of Coke. I wanted to know if you wanted to come.
So that the filmmakers can have the time to attach the camera to a drone, and yep, we gotta wait another 2 minutes for it to make its journey to the next quote-unquote scene of the dad putting down flowers at Jamie's murder spot. I don't know, maybe y'all feel immersed by 2 minutes of drone footage. I don't. I might have been impressed if the next scene were at the restaurant that Officer Dad and his son were going to see them beat the drone there and execute another scene, but this... meh. The next episode begins with the rapist. Whoops, my bad, British isn't my first language. I meant to say this psycho grooming Jamie in detention.
You're posh, aren't you? No, I'm just not from where you're from. What do you call bread? If you don't call it slice. Bread? You're posh. If it makes you happy that I am, Jamie, then what do you call your granddad? But you call him Grandpa. I do not. I bet you do. I call him Pop Pop. What? Do you? Yes, I do. Wow. Jesus. I'm not in that before. Okay. Maybe he asked me to call him that. I'm not sure. You're really posh.
I found this bit particularly realistic because yes, these absolutely deranged people will jabber on about poshness levels until the cows die of neglect. No! We're then treated to an hour-long psychoanalytical conversation, and honestly, this is the only time the one-take gimmick impressed me. Rather, it's not really the oneer that impresses, but the kid actor does a stellar job here. He's out acting pros. Shame this shite is boring. Let's get to the juicy stuff, like where they have the grown actors ask the underage actor about sex. Now that's the stuff I expect from Sex Pest. I mean, Netflix. The conversation, unsurprisingly, takes some pretty bizarre turns.
In particular, how does it make you feel looking at naked pictures of people you know?
powerful? Do you feel like it gives you a power?
No, it's just weird.
Personally, I think a society taking kids aside and having them pretend to be murderers or rapists for the entertainment of grown adults, I think that's the really weird thing. But that's just me, I guess.
Jamie, I asked whether you were attracted to women. Do you think women are attracted to you?
What sort of questions are?
Yeah, the hell kind of question is that?
Do you think girls are attracted to you?
Okay, better phrasing.
Of course not.
Why, of course not.
I'm ugly.
Yeah, this kid's an abomination. Can barely stomach his visage. Should have cast a real looker like this guy.
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
Louder!
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
Louder!
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
You don't know. You're pretty.
This isn't about me, Jamie.
What, you don't think you're pretty?
This is actually a 10 out of 10 in Britain land. Little Jamie slips up.
Whether I understand what I did. No, fuck off! Oh, it's like a fucking trap in here. You!
Jamie!
What? You sure you don't want to step in, buddy? Yeah, this kid could have actually banged this lady
28
times before Baldy out there would have him a cheeky little peek.
What the fuck was that?
Psychologist lady takes out a bunch of Instagrams to peruse, and Jamie decides to try his winning tact, scaring the trousers off the lady.
You look a bit red. Did I scare you when I shouted?
Yeah.
I did ask her out after the photo. I went round and said I was sorry that they'd done that to her. She just laughed and said, "Oh, I'm not that desperate."
And the emoji messages came after that.
Yeah.
Remember, fellas, the worst she can say is no. And remember, ladies, the worst he can do is... At this point of my self-abuse, I was growing more than a little frustrated. I'd just been lectured at by the writer through his flatter-than-cardboard, but definitely no washboard character about just how upsetting it is that society focuses so much on the criminal offenders and less their victims. And then he puts me through a fucking hour of psychoanalyzing the pint-sized criminal, with only a few scant minutes of focus on the victim, but from the criminal's point of view anyway.
She was a bullying bitch, right?
Pick a lane, bruv. The right one. Like, why even make the point that victims go ignored, then so utterly ignore the victim in your narrative? When this episode does bring up Katie directly, it's to frame her as a bully who tried to torment Jamie and sully his reputation just because she felt he was beneath her. Is there some incel rage you're internalizing, Mr. Thorne? What's going on here? He certainly likes his women insufferably weak, because after Miss Great Britain's disturbing encounter with this remorseless 13-year-old boy, she has herself a little cry.
Jamie, this is our last session.
What?
But what I would encourage you to
Why?
do is whatever happens next.
Don't you even like me a bit? What did you think about me then? Decide, come on!
This was really useful.
Don't you go fucking tell anyone that I did it! Don't you dare!
Whoa, come on.
Don't you go fucking get the fuck off me!
This would be funny if it weren't so bad. Nonetheless, this is easily the best episode in the series, and funnily enough, it's probably because it's the one most Hollywooded up. This 13-year-old kid suddenly becomes Hannibal Lecter toying with this poor, fragile little lady, rather than this being the most mundane exchange between some fat, hardened cow grilling a shell-shocked kid who's mumbling 1-2-word responses without making eye contact. Total melodrama slop. Is no one going to finish that? The final episode, episode 4, begins with Jamie's dad's birthday. And blimey, he's getting a little handsy with his wife, isn't it?
Yeah, only when I'm doing you a file.
No.
Oi.
Christmas as well, when you got your silvies on and that.
You can see where Jamie got his incel from. Then, a surprise gift. Someone painted... Nonge? Fuck is a nonge? Oh, nonce. Spelled in Bourbonics, I see.
Take 3 pictures and email them to Sam. She's in my email contacts.
Well, they're certainly not in your eye contacts, but we have this overly long, nothing conversation between mom and daughter before we move on with the story again. But to make the wonder work, the conceit this time is that the dad forgot to bring a sponge with him to wash his van off and stood outside for a few minutes staring blankly at it, I guess. Okay. Another goofy thing they've got to do is leave the front door hanging open throughout all this. I'm a little OCD about shutting doors, so this is probably a lot more immersion breaking for me than others. But hell, when anyone opens a door with the intent to shut it behind them, I think most of us just shut the door first, don't we? But not when you gotta let the cameraman sneak on by, so... Anywho, dad decides to take everybody on a birthday trip in the nonce van for a wash. I guess they don't have car washes or anything in the UK, so they head to the Home Depot. Or what's the Brit equivalent? kettle. It takes them over 7 banging minutes to get there. Dad asks for help from a kid working there who just happens to be part of Red Pill Gang, and he's all, "Don't worry, mate, we're all behind you. Fuck these chav whores." Or something like that. I don't know. I don't speak British. Dad sees red, paints the van blue, and there's another 7-minute drive home. At least something narratively relevant happens on this trip because Jay calls up. Jay? Who the fuck is Jay? Because Jamie calls up to tell his dad he's pleading guilty. The fam is, understandably, not too thrilled about this, so no going to the pictures.
We thought we'd leave go with the pictures.
Really? And y'all get in our case about sidewalk?
See, I've known you since you're about bum floor.
Roll the tape back, Jamie.
I've known you since you're about bum floor.
What the actual fuck is bump fluff? Now, my fellow Americans, you're not going to believe this, but bump fluff isn't actually referring to their arse hairs, but instead the hairs on their chin. These are the people who will bang on your bums about calling it a sidewalk. Another really long back and forth scene, which you can boil down to parents realizing that giving their kids unrestricted internet access, despite knowing all too well they're granting them an unfettered flood of pornography and God only knows what else, is wow, kind of not good. And hey, a hearty hard agree from me. One day your kid's watching Markiplier Slender Man playthroughs, the next, she's luring her friend out into a forest and stabbing her 19 times. We're left with a good several minutes of dad crying, and that's it. That's the show. 10 out of 10. I won't sit here and earnestly say, boy, all that crying was a bit nothing, ain't it? I'm sure it would emotionally resonate for me if, I could view this series as anything more than a shameless piece of propagandistic bump fluff. It's not propaganda. It's just state-mandated Netflix viewing. Oh dear. And it's not structured like a story. It plays out exactly like a PSA, only stretched to its absolute limits in runtime. A boy kills a girl because she banged him in the wrong way, and the parents realize, oh, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't have let the computer raise our kid. Bang her? I did not hit her. If you were trading stories around a campfire, eating delicious hot schmoes, would you really hit the boys with this? Yo, so there's this kid, right? And he kills a schoolgirl who was bullying him. Oh yeah? Yeah. And he goes to jail. Damn. And then? Well, he stays in jail. Oh, okay. Is there any more? He was insecure about his manhood. Go talk to your wife's son now. Can't wait for season 2. Oh, come on. I was only joking. I will earnestly say that I don't think it's really propaganda. It's cowardice. This show, which you should put in massive double quotes, as the British don't, it's one big shield from criticism of itself. It takes a real contemporary societal problem and not only hides it behind the safest buzzwords of the day, but it uses it as a defense from criticism of its own bare bones, haphazardly structured narrative because, come on now, who would really openly ridicule this life and death issue?
I do.
You don't think knife crime is important enough to address? Listen, guy, not everything is supposed to be some white-knuckling crime thriller. Not everything has to be a Marvel film. This is serious business. That's why it's so crucial that we play pretend about it. How else are Netflix parents gonna know to connect with their kids or something? And it does all this while employing a film gimmick so logistically complex that you can't accuse the creators of half-assing things. Even if it doesn't look very good and doesn't utilize the format very well, they wasted so much time setting up all the dominoes to fall exactly right. So you gotta give them that much.
How about stab yourself now?
Storytelling is hard. Don't be fooled by people that they've done the legwork just because they made it harder.